Shalom, giving all praises and glory to our power Yahweh, Baha Shem, Yahweh Shah, Baha Shem, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders, great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, wherever you may be, to you I say Shalom, Yeshua, Shalom. All right, so we're going to get into, back into this video here. You see the title right there, Life Under China's Social Credit System, a dystopian reality. All right, investigate Asia. So we were going into this yesterday, but my video got cut, and then when I saw the length of it, I actually thought it was shorter than that, but it was close to an hour. So I just left it at that and decided to come back and do a second part. Lord, will we get through all of it? I mean, as you see, we're here at the 23-minute mark, and the thing is 52 and a half minutes long. I mean, if we have to do a third part, it's cool. But yeah, so we're gonna jump back a second here to the end of, the beginning of where it left off at the end of the first session there. All right. So, and as we always go into 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11, let Satan should get an advantage of us. We are not ignorant of his devices. All right. So ignorant means to not know his devices. Well, these are things that we're going to talk about. So let's go.
Today, state television is even selling the society to foreigners.
Go and buy breakfast on the street and pay by
a world in which everything is so much easier, as long as you don't mind the party knowing everything about you.
Purchase your ticket. Why is Thomas from Germany celebrating with so much enthusiasm? Like many foreigners in China, he is enjoying the convenience of a life without cash. So pervasive is the trend that robbers would be hard-pressed to find any cash to steal from in a modern Chinese store. This is a glimpse into the life of most Chinese.
All right, here's where we left off
An even more advanced piece of technology now makes an entrance in our lives.
Alors, so, what do you want?
Water's fine.
Okay.
Just water? Like this?
Yep,
That one or this one?
the top one.
That's a lot more expensive. So, oh, you pay by showing your face.
Yeah, and that's the facial recognition.
Yes,
as a matter of fact.
payment by the customer's face.
This.
Done.
So you've paid for a bottle of water thanks to facial recognition.
All right, so we're gonna pause it right there. Hopefully this will come up quick enough. Not sure if it will or not. Not sure if we'll ever get it at all. I'm gonna pull up facial recognition just to pull it up. But she talks about it anyways. Let me see. Let me play. Maybe it'll come up. We're not really talking about it, but
Do you know how it recognized you? Don't you wonder how you're able to pay with your face?
It asks you here. You can choose to pay with your face or QR code.
How does it recognize your face?
It's recorded. When you subscribe to Alipay, it scans your face.
you see, and then we talked about that in the first session, the Alipay. Because basically over there in China, there's really no life for them without their cell phone. Because on their cell phone, there's apps that they log into. Their facial recognition is, they're basically a digital identity. Okay, and then of course, by default, all your accounts are linked and things of that nature. So, and then there's also this thing where they scan QR codes everywhere they go to certain establishments. Everybody has to scan that QR code, and that QR code basically tracks everything that you're doing while you're there in that establishment. Okay, so if you go in, all right, somewhere, and then you try to do something like make a purchase, and I guess the person at the register will realize, oh, you didn't scan the QR code. You need to scan in before you can do anything. All right, so so everything goes back to your phone because they're collecting your data. So the QR lets, I guess, the phone know, all right, that you're at this certain establishment, and then you have your account linked to it, by way of, whatever app, Alipay or whatever. And then all those things obviously have all your information on it. Okay. So, yeah. So this is what's happening in China. And this is what
it's recorded in the paying system.
What do you think about that? Do you like it? It's freaky, isn't it?
No, it's just funny. It's amusing.
And that's twice. And I find it funny. It's twice, though. Because he asked her basically a question that would, the true response, if she was being honest, which maybe she was being honest, but anyways, trying to ask her a question to get her to make a response that's against the system, because that would affect her credit score and things of that nature. He tried to get her like a few times with that, which that's her husband, by the way, recording. He said he was a journalist and she's something in marketing or whatever. So I guess because he's a journalist, he has the time of the day to just go, and film her throughout her day. All right. And show this whole, network. All right. But yeah, so, he asked her, from time to time a question like that, and she's not going to give an answer that's against the system or whatever, because that would be basically against the government. And she may actually get, found out and flagged about it, or, questioned, or maybe her credit score drop, because that's their biggest fear, having their credit score drop. They have billboards up that puts people up, shaming them. And then eventually you lose certain privileges and things of that nature. All right.
Name, address, phone number, movements, purchasing history, and now face.
See?
All the data are compiled, connected, combined.
All the data is compiled, connected, and combined. And so, as I said in the last session, if this is how these people are forced to live now, basically where they can't live without their cell phones, because everything is their cell phone. They're having this facial recognition, digital ID, the Alipay, all these different things. All right, compiled into one. What's the next level to that? Okay, is just to bring them a digital system all the way, full bloom, which is, present them with the CHIP. And of course, if they're already following this system, to a T, it's not going to be hard to introduce, all right, a CHIP to these people, okay, because they already understand they can't live without this and that, all this governance, this surveillance and things of that nature, but yet they're living under the system. They don't really have a choice. So it's going to be easy, all right, to present them the CHIP. And that's why they want this whole same system to be implemented in America. Thing is, with America, they have, more freer thinkers in America, all right? So, because, not everybody's going to go with the system. There's going to be some that are going to want to go against the system and not want it. But that's the whole point of how this works, okay? Because if it's all attached to your credit score system, then you're going to think twice. But before you make a post, okay, go do something stupid on social media, because Jay like to play around on Facebook and stuff like that all day and do nothing. All right, but if you make a post, that they don't deem I guess worthy as a regular post, especially if it's something against the government or how the system works or whatever being done, you're going to get flagged for it, okay? And more than likely, it'll hurt your credit score.
I'm not sure it is all that amusing. In every face, the party can now see the private life of every Chinese citizen.
Hey, boss, can I get some extra hours? Sorry, man, overtime isn't in the budget. Why don't you hop on Shift Smart?
The life of every Chinese citizen. A mass surveillance tool at the heart of the Chinese government's investments. Over the years, Beijing will gain its technological independence, breaking free of foreign companies in the domains of facial recognition and artificial intelligence. Xi Yinan is vice president of MEGV Technology in Beijing. This Chinese unicorn is a world leader in facial recognition, technology that is sold in particular to the police, allowing them to use surveillance cameras to identify individuals in real time. The complex facial recognition software is presented in this promotional video, shot like a Hollywood trailer.
Mr. Lee, a financial crook on the run since 2016, was spotted by the Sky Eye, and the police were informed. After a quick check, he was soon arrested.
And mind you, now this was just it's a commercial, right? It was not real. It was a commercial, but they're making it seem as if basically like, hey, this is also what this technology can do. This mass surveillance is helpful because we call criminals and we took the criminals off the street to keep you people more safe. And so, it gets them thinking like, okay, yeah, this might be good or whatever. We'll go along with it and so on and so forth, right?
The city's brain. On the one hand, there's private use, and on the other, there's security use controlled by the police. We're already working with 27 provinces in China, improving their security. Our technology has led to the arrest of over 3,000 criminals.
This program, called Smart Eyes, is just one part of a more far-reaching program, a network dubbed Skynet.
Sound familiar? Now, I'm not saying it's the same thing, but that's the name of what it was in the Terminator movie, Skynet. All right, the whole system, which I forget exactly how everything was, because it haven't been a long time since I ain't seen any of those Terminator movies. But I know Skynet was the one that was controlling, like the robots or whatever, building the Terminators, sending them back. What was to the future? No, to the past. I think back into the past. Okay, to try to delete certain people and so on and so forth to try to change the future. Basically, they were trying to aim for their AI robotic survival or whatever. And obviously the human side was the same thing. Sarah Connor and all this kind of stuff. All right, they were trying to fight back against the Terminators. Okay, because the baby she was going to bring was going to change history and save mankind, all this kind of stuff like that. But it just mentioned Skynet though.
It's a nod to
just like in iRobot, you had Vicky, okay, and probably any other movie that you can think of, because Esau is good for putting things in his movies. Not saying it's going to be an exact thing, but a lot of times, it could be just some crazy sci-fi movie, but he has certain technology that he's actually trying to create, which could be put in a movie, and you think it's just a movie or whatever, but he's actually trying to build this thing.
System of artificial intelligence which takes control of the planet in the film Terminator.
See, he's just listening there.
The aim is to be able to identify anyone, anywhere, thanks to hundreds of millions of surveillance cameras.
See? Identify anyone, anywhere. So it doesn't matter where you are. They'll be able to find you, hone in on you, and identify you. So that's basically, like when we lean towards, Esau more so, because this is, just a system, a social credit score system in China. But along with the social credit scoring system comes what? Mass surveillance. So they want to take both of those things and implement them in Babylon the Great underneath the CHIP system. All right, I always mention that. You take the CHIP, you take the UBI, you take things like 15-minute cities, social credit scoring system, the mass surveillance, Palantir, all those different things, and you wrap them up into one. And Esau has this perfect system of control. Okay, and as it says in I believe there's one in Isaiah 14. Actually, I probably should have.
Thanks to hundreds of millions of surveillance cameras.
Just in case we lose that. Let me see here. If we be able to pull it up. Because I know it's been moving kind of slow. But yeah, like it says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4, okay? That he wants to be the Most High and sit in the seat of the Most High. As a matter of fact, we'll get Isaiah since we mentioned it, though. Isaiah 14, we don't often read that one. It's the same thing in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 4. It's pretty much the same thing. Esau boasting himself. Excuse me. Esau boasting himself in his technology and things of that nature. Like it says in is it Isaiah 47? I think it's 47. Where it says, stand now with thine enchantments, which you had labored from thy youth. Okay? And that's just what he does. He communes with the left-hand side and all this witchcraft and sorcery, okay? Because he's a wizard. All right? And then you put this technology together with his wizardry and his spells and stuff like that. Okay? And it makes him a dangerous man. But, not more dangerous. Okay? Not so dangerous that the Lord can't deal with him. Obviously not. I think I was looking for, yep, right here. Well, Isaiah 14:13, for thou hast said in thine heart, the heart being the mind, I will ascend into heaven. All right, so you got all these different, you got the 5G system, probably got a 6. You got what's that called, Starlink. You got their satellites. You got things like Palantir. Okay, and so and that's what he does. All right, he exalts himself in his technology and his sorcery. Okay, it says, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Okay, it says, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north, and he has done just that. Okay, he's going up into the inner space, because he can't go in the outer reaches of space, inner space, and then also he exalts himself over the children of Israel, knowing that everything is about their birthright. That's that perpetual hatred. Amos 1, Obadiah 1. Okay, he kept his anger forever, and it turned perpetually toward his brother Jacob, and that's what he said in Genesis 27 chapter. The days of my mourning my father at hand, and then when I slay my brother Jacob. Okay, he kept that anger perpetually to this very day, because it goes back to that birthright. I will send above the heights of the clouds. You see, I will be like the Most High. But it says, well, let me get that real quick. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. All right. But also I was about to mention Obadiah. All right. It says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, who said in his heart, who shall bring me down? Okay, Yahweh Shai is going to be one to bring this man down. That's why we need Yahweh Shai, because we can't, in which we're not, supposed to be carnal anyways. It says the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. All right. We have to wait upon the Lord to the day that he rises up to the prey. So we need Yahweh Shai to return and deal with this man and these heathens and, our current situation, deliver us. All right. Because that was given, that power was given to his hand as a blessing. He should live by the sword. Okay. He should have the fatness of the earth and the dew from heaven above. He was given that great sword to take peace from the earth. And this is his particular rulership. He was given that by way of prophecy. All right. The season of Idumea. All right. So we need Yahweh Shai. Let's get back to Moab.
We can now also collate lots of elements about the vehicles, like we can about the people, including particular characteristics. The make of car, the people's hairstyles, their clothes, whether they're on a bike, whether they're carrying a bag. All these details can be recorded. And this lets us analyze everything going on in the city from day to day. For example, in this street, we can find out what sorts of cars there are, the busy times, whether there's a traffic jam or an accident, what kind of people walk down this street. So, if we need to know what happened at a particular time and who is present, it's really easy. It's what we call the urban sky eye.
And of course, you see everything written in Chinese, but I'm pretty sure we can read that in English. It's probably mentioning maybe the age, sex, whether it's a male or female, which that probably wouldn't be hard to tell, but male or female, maybe even like because they have their whole identity. Whatever there's some information. Obviously, there's some kind of information posted into those rectangle boxes next to the people. Okay, so whatever it is, we really don't know. But obviously, it's useful information, to them, obviously. But some kind of useful information to identify a person. Like if there was a crime taking place, okay, they run it back. This useful box of information comes up, and they got the time, they got the person, then they can pretty much somehow eventually identify them and then go and find them.
Data and technology which also enable them to predict and anticipate the behavior of individuals in the public space.
See? Prediction, right? That precognition type stuff, okay? Predicting behaviors of a person in public. So just assuming that someone's about to do something, then I guess somehow they interact, which is really not an immediate response. I mean, they may call the local police or whatever, but it's still going to take time to get there, because if they assume a person's about to do a crime, well, the cops still have to show up. All right. I mean, what are the chances that they're right there in the vicinity? But you get the point why we're mentioning.
And all that thanks to big data and artificial intelligence.
See? Thanks to big data and artificial intelligence.
Would you rather work remote or in office? Your friend works in office. He wakes up at 6 a.m., gets dressed, grabs 2 cups of coffee.
Intelligence. estimated that Chinese research into artificial intelligence is about 2 decades ahead of its direct rivals. I head to Tsinghua University to meet Professor Su Guangda, one of the scientists who's contributed the most to the development of this technology since the early 2000s.
2008年奥运会，
The Chinese government was the first to use facial recognition during the Beijing Olympics in 2008.
这样一个2008年，
It was the first time in the world that it was used during an Olympic Games.
使国家公共安全更加安全。
Thereafter, the World Expo and other events requiring heightened security were able to use facial recognition.
这是非常好的一个结果。所以我想大家对这件事呢，
This was only possible because of major financing by the
支持的
state.
态度。人脸识别有很多
This
的
improves
And real quick, just mention, I just thought about it because we mentioned, the cell phone. Their life is basically based on the cell phone and the app and everything, the QR codes and all these different things. And then you have Elon Musk over here talking about the future, where there's going to be pretty much no phones. All right, this is what they're claiming, and they're going to be no phones. Okay, so I mean, we know what the ultimate idea is. All right, everything leading up to the sea.
the level of public safety so that the people can live in a more harmonious, safer society.
非常多。你比如现在我们看到有些
And that's why they should support facial
有上
recognition.
亿人的训练，
It has many advantages.
其他的生活特征要获得
There are companies with data about more than 100 million
这就
individuals.
是我们说为什么深度
The
学
reason
习
facial recognition is a success is because the amount of data is immense.
就是数据量太大了。
And the amount of data should increase further with advancements in facial recognition.
Apparently, it's also possible now to identify people by the way they move.
这样就让有
Yes,
些
there's research underway into people's gait or other movements, into iris recognition as well. But for now, recognition by movement is still at a low level and is not ready for actual use yet.
没有到一个真正实用的程度。
But all this technology is very useful for making cities safer places, for making China safer.
建设还是非常有用的。
Recognizing people, predicting their movements, checking and observing their daily routine. Surveillance has always been the raison d'etre of the party state. From 1949 and the birth of the People's Republic of China, Beijing had eyes everywhere. Political commissars and neighborhood committees were the eyes and ears of public security in the heart of the people. It was a net cast over a population that didn't travel, a walled-in country cut off from foreigners. But Chinese society changed and started moving around. From town to town, region to region, country to country. Here too, the party has a solution for maintaining effective surveillance.
Bonjour.
Today we're off to Shanghai for the weekend, 1,300 kilometers from Beijing. Lulu made the booking using Alipay, one of the apps on her smartphone. 757, is that your number of points? My wife is a good customer with a top mark. Her credit is high enough to ensure that her booking went through.
And so, everything's centered around their credit score, okay? What you just saw hers in the app, 757. And then it's a constant checking, all right? Because people are constantly looking at the credit score because they want to know, all right, am I in good standings, or, did I lose some points? Did this happen or that happen, right? Did I do something right? Did I do something wrong? Somebody complained about me, whatever. So they're constantly checking their credit score, okay? Excuse me.
We head for the main station in southern Beijing, one of 3 that serve the capital. Taking public transport in China, could anything be easier? But when my my wife reserved her train ticket, the app didn't only check her bank account. Alipay went a lot deeper.
The app checked her bank account.
All the details of Lulu's private and social life are digitized on her phone, just as they are.
There you go. All her social life that are privatized are digitized on her phone. So it checks your bank account and it checks everything that's personal about you. And as we always mention, who do you think has access to this? Like, who created this? It's like, because we from time to time talk about the blockchain technology. So, and I know we talk about it all the time with the blockchain. Okay, you have two people that make a transaction between, you know, person A and person B. Okay, so person A sends person B money, and so that transaction is recorded, and that's what's called the block. Okay, maybe next week, person A lets person B get more money. So a new block is created, and those blocks are chained together because they made that first, transaction, and they made another transaction. Then maybe, a month from now, person B pays person A back from the previous times. So there's another block that's created, and it's linked to that chain, a block chain. And so those two people, person A, person B, are the only ones that have access to that block, supposedly. Because that's why I always mention, well, who makes the technology? Because they say it blocks out everybody else. Oh, okay, so yeah, so it blocks out, maybe even blocks out spies and hackers and stuff like that, and other regular people with accounts and things of that nature. But what about the company that issued the technology? Okay, you don't think that links back to Esau? So just like this thing here, checking her bank account and all her personal and private life and all her, personal, private, and social information. Who do you think's monitoring that? That local government. See?
For all her compatriots. There, a couple of scans and it's all done. You scan your face to get into the station.
And real quick, and because just to also kind of fully explain, because you have person A and person B, they made 3 blocks, and these blocks are chained together, and they're the only ones that have receipts. A receipt is in person A's account, and a receipt of those blocks are in person B's account. So they each should have 3 receipts of those transactions, regardless of who sent who. Okay, and so if person B has another friend who we'll say is person C, okay, and person B sends money to person C, now person B and person C could created a block together. That block is not chained to person A and person B's block of those 3 transactions. That's transaction number 1 between person B and person C. So now they have their own separate blocks that are chained together that is locking everybody out. Of course, not because they're not telling you that, but of course, not to the ones that actually are issuing the system. So understanding how the blockchain works, every block that's created is basically a receipt between the 2 parties. Okay, if there's 3 parties involved, each party has a transaction by way of that 1 block. Okay, no one else.
Then again to gain access to the train. All done. The app cross-referenced a much wider spread of data and authorized her to buy a ticket and therefore to travel.
So yeah, so the app authorized her, basically cleared her because her credit score was well enough to be cleared to access trains, hotels, flights. Okay, I think there's a portion here I don't think we passed it up yet where it was talking about making passports easier to be obtained. Okay, certain documents that you'll be able to bypass. Okay, where if your credit score was too low, not too low that you can't get it at all, but it's so low that there's a bunch of other steps and documents and things you have to go through, which is just more headache. And that's part of them marketing things to you as if it's convenience. It makes your life more simple. Okay, but really what it's doing is walking people through a field of roses to a ball and chain around their ankle. All right, mass surveillance.
If you become placed onto a judicial blacklist for being delinquent on payment to to the winning party of your lawsuit, and then this blacklist, so it will mostly it will be publicized on court website. And then also this blacklist will also be sent to the railway authority and also to the airport authorities. So they do have your information over there. And then when you want to buy a ticket, of course, when you buy a ticket, you need to provide your ID number, right? And then that's where they got you there.
Yeah, but it's like a janky right now. I'm gonna try and still on the face recognition.
On the train, Lulu tops up her credit by spending money with her app.
There we go. Hold on.
The QR code again.
Yeah, and watch how many steps she has to go through. You bear with me a second though. Yeah, because I don't know how I was offline. Probably my net. Anyways, facial recognition is the type of biometric technology that identifies or verifies an individual by analyzing their unique facial features from a digital image or a video stream. All right, let me read it again. Facial recognition is a type of biometric technology that identifies or verifies an individual by analyzing their unique facial features. Your face, everybody's face is different. All right, even twins. All right, where you can't identify, they have some kind of difference there. Okay, I'm pretty sure they'll be able to tell them apart. It says from a digital image or a video stream. It is a method of personal identification that uses artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms to create a unique mathematical representation of a person's face. You see, it says to create a unique. It says it uses artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms. All right, so learning by data collection and growing in, to create a unique mathematical representation of a person's face, known as a face print. See, facial recognition typically involves a multi-step process. Detection: a camera or sensor detects and locates a face or multiple faces within an image or video. Analysis: the software analyzes the detected face to identify key features or nodal points, which are endpoints used to measure variables such as the distance between the eyes, the depth of the eye sockets, the shape of the cheekbones, and the contour of the jawline. Basically, your individual face, okay? Data conversion. These measurements, there you go, right there, data conversion. Taking that stuff that they're learning and converting it into data that they can collect and analyze on a computer system. These measurements are converted into a unique numerical code or mathematical formula called a face print. Matching: the face print is then compared to a database of known faces. You see, if the system finds a match within a certain confidence score, the individual's identity is confirmed or identified. You see, and that's the process that it goes through to identify who every individual is. Or maybe when you're trying to purchase something, a ticket, train ticket, whatever, okay? Key uses: facial recognition is used in a variety of applications across different industries. Security and law enforcement, identifying suspects in criminal investigations, like the commercial they showed us, screening individuals in crowds, like we just watched that portion of the clip, and finding missing persons. And they didn't talk about that though. Yeah, with all this mass surveillance, right? They could find Jake, underground in a warehouse, hiding out from his from a drug bust, but they can't find kidnapped children. Anyways, access control, unlocking personal devices like smartphones, entering, and we know it's because you get into that. Unlocking personal devices like smartphones, entering secure buildings, or accessing sensitive digital information. Travel, automating check-in and border control processes at airports, allowing travelers to use their face instead of physical documents. Yep, and they're trying to move into that. Banking and retail, authenticating online banking transactions, preventing fraud, and identifying known shoplifters. Healthcare, streamlining patient registration and controlling access to private patient records. Now, this is another thing that I almost forgot. Judicial blacklisting. Okay, but that's what the guy was just talking about. I'm gonna pull it up on the screen anyways while we can. So, a judicial blacklist is not a formal, defined legal term in most Western legal systems, including the U.S. It says, instead, It is an informal or colloquial phrase that generally refers to a list of individuals, entities, or in some specific context, judges themselves who are subject to some form of official or unofficial sanction, exclusion, or special scrutiny. The meaning can vary depending on the context in which it is used. All right, in the context of individuals and entities, more commonly, blacklisting refers to lists, often government maintained, that restrict individuals or organizations from certain privileges or opportunities without a formal judicial process. An example, extrajudicial administrative processes. Individuals placed on such lists may have their movements restricted. Example given, a no-fly list, see, or be barred from engaging in business with U.S. entities due to perceived misconduct, national security concerns, or foreign policy interests. Being placed on these lists can have severe consequences, and the lack of an opportunity to know the evidence or appeal the listing has been a subject of legal challenges regarding due process. All right, I'm probably not going to read that, but it says key takeaways. In informal term, judicial blacklist is not a standard legal phrase. Lack of due process. The key issue with blacklist, especially in a governmental context, is often the lack of formal notification or an opportunity for the listed party to challenge the accusations or their inclusion on the list. Violation of judicial independence. When the term is used in reference to judges themselves, it implies an external attempt to influence judicial decisions, which is a significant ethical and legal concern. All right, so that was a lot there, but let's go back to the video. He'll explain more. Oh yeah, I forgot.
And more.
Go check this out.
The QR code again. And more facial recognition.
Might look awful.
And that's a constant thing, all right? You gotta do stuff
And
like
yet
that
again,
over and over.
lots of data transmitted to Alipay's servers.
See, the data's been
My
sent
wife
to Alipay servers, and they can collect it, analyze it. All right, make sure you are you, monitor you, surveil you, identify you, whatever else.
Care of her credit.
And obviously they know all your bank account, your credit score, what you purchased, where you purchased it from. All right, probably even know how long you spent at that particular location, that store, or whatever the case may be.
Remains a good citizen. Her biggest fear is dropping below the threshold of 350 points and joining the list of second-class citizens.
So joining the list, in which that's a long drop there, 350. But before you even get to 350, there's a lot of things that become more difficult for you to do, or things that may start to be restricted from you. But once you drop below 350, they consider you a second-class citizen, and which I don't think they would go too far into that in this video. But I mean, I guess we can all kind of imagine what that means. You know, a lot of things are restricted from you. It's probably harder to even, you know, once you down that low, it's probably hard to even build that credit score back up. All right, because I don't think the points come out in chunks. They come out little bit by little bit, so it's hard to build that back up. So she's afraid of becoming a so-called second-class citizen, so she is willing to do whatever the system says to do in order to stay as a, I guess, so-called a first-class citizen. Okay, and so easily she would definitely take the C here. All right, because she's so afraid of, you know, just losing, you know, pretty much, the, you know, the credit score or whatever, all right, or dropping it, whatever.
What do you say when a Jewish boy is kicked on a New York City sidewalk?
Oh boy.
Joining the list of second-class citizens. Once we get to the hotel, it all starts again. We were able to reserve a room in this hotel in Shanghai thanks to Lulu's good mark.
Notice she's doing facial recognition again to book a room, to clear for a room.
A bad credit rating and ending up on the blacklist would have put an establishment like this out of reach for us.
Right. So let's say they're all high class establishments. You're blacklisted or whatever, and I don't know, maybe your job calls you to travel to this particular area, your location, city, or whatever, and you need a room. Guess what? You're not going to get that room because your credit score is not well enough. All right, and those are minor things, but to some people they take those things more heavy. But yeah, so you're not going to be able to get a room for the night. So where are you going to sleep at? Probably on some bench somewhere, which then police might come by and say, hey, you can't do this. Maybe lock you up if they don't just tell you to leave. They probably might lock you up. Who knows? All right. So it's just a whole chain reaction of things, but it's basically putting fear in the people about going in the system and falling out of line with that very same system. Okay, and it's all put together in what they call the social credit scoring system, where you're monitored very closely.
The blacklist is at the very heart of this social credit program. It's the ultimate algorithm, ready to be deployed at any moment by the Chinese Party State, creating a system in which virtuous behavior is encouraged and rewarded. For those who cross the line, the sanction is immediate and their mark is downgraded. And maybe this is the party's greatest victory, improving people's behavior without having to wield the stick.
Improving people's behavior without having to wield the stick, basically without having to force them, okay? Just, make them do what you want them to do without actually having to force them to do it, okay? And so you're basically herding people like sheep, all right, like cattle, all right, into a particular avenue, all right, in a certain way, okay, which is based on what the government deems worthy or non-worthy.
The laws that say, look, the social credit system is to, improve market efficiency, to enhance regulation, but also to promote good.
See, that's part of them trying to make things convenient, all right, improve the market and all these different things in the nature. It says hence, I can't see it because the numbers anyway, something, but also to promote
values. But then, the question is always, is so for the third component, how do we do that? Honestly, you can't use these kind of things. They may, right? Sociologically, you can say, look, as people care more about what they have said, what they have promised, then maybe eventually through keeping promises, they become more honest whatsoever.
More honest, and above all, more respectful of the rules. And it starts with crossing the road properly. Those who infringe these ideals of the harmonious society can no longer hide.
Yeah, because they put up in that big screen.
That's scary. Just then they flashed up the photo of a guy and a girl on the big screen. It's scary, isn't it?
Then what happens? They get a fine?
No, but imagine if you do it all the time. Your face will get shown all over the place. Maybe it'll affect your points.
You see your face up there in the middle of the street. It's weird.
You shouldn't cross when the light's red.
Most people wait for green.
And so that's part of, which, okay, yeah, there's a certain safety to that. But at the same time, they're taking those things and utilizing it for their whole system of control. All right. Don't cross when it's red. If you cross when it's red, we'll shame you. Okay. If you do it enough times, then, something may affect your regular life, like your credit score, points may drop or, things of that nature. So they're attaching everything to the social credit score system, which is what they just got through talking about. Basically controlling the people, making the people do what they say is right without actually having to force them to do it. Okay. They're just, and really, they're living in a subconscious fear, okay? Because she's definitely terrified, all right? But it's not open terror, okay? She's afraid of becoming a second class with a score like 7, whatever it was, 7+, okay? That lowest threshold is 350. Anything below that, 350 and below. She's not even close to a lower level, but she's so afraid, all right, that she's going to do everything that's right. You see? So that's basically what they've set up here.
Yes.
They follow the rules.
Or your photo gets flashed up. You get shamed.
Shall we try to cross on red just to see?
No, I'm not doing that. Only foreigners do that. But even the foreigners are behaving properly. Can you see?
I could go and see my photo up there. That'd be cool.
Go on if you want. Not me.
What would happen?
Your photo would be on the big screen. That would be awful for you.
So she's
the
laughing it off, but you know, she really is just she's basically a slave to this whole social credit scoring system. Okay, and the guy was trying to get her to go and do it, or write something against her credit score.
Are enforced.
They don't explain if you get points taken away, or for the moment it's just your face being flashed up.
Yes, it's just that. It's a shame.
The shame. To monitor the public space permanently and effectively, one particular piece of kit is needed. The surveillance camera. They've been proliferating all over China since the early 2000s. In apartment blocks, offices, shops. They're everywhere. Of the world's 20 cities with the most surveillance cameras, 18 are Chinese. Chongqing, with a population of 31 million, has one camera for every 6 people. Shanghai, 26 million, has one for every 9. In comparison, this is over 10 times more than in the most equipped European cities.
So it's basically mass
A
surveillance.
society under a surveillance that it's practically impossible to escape.
Yeah, see?
Chinese Big Brother's eyes are everywhere.
And remember now, because all this goes back to their system. They're collecting data on you, so they'll know who you are. You know, somebody got mugged, they can find the guy that mugged the old lady or whatever, because they can get the time, the street, you know, information on that person, who's this, who's that, identify everybody, you know, eventually lead back to their digital identity and back to this guy's apartment or whatever. Okay, and then the police show up and get them, all right? Now, that's just a whole, you know, scenario, but it's just, you know, you get my point.
In the public space, Lulu can't escape the dictatorship of her social credit mark. Anonymity is disappearing from Chinese society. Even the most private matters affect your social credit. Could Lulu's mark be affected by her diet? This could be next. A healthy citizen.
Yeah, I want to, let me see. Hold on. Cause yeah. All right, dictator. There you go, ship. Hopefully it'll come up fast enough. Share my ticker. All right, cool. I don't think it searched it. Let me see. There you go. Let's try it again. All right, a dictatorship is a form of government in which absolute power is concentrated in the hands of a single leader or a small group with few or no constitutional limitations. The ruling authority in a dictatorship maintains power through force, suppression of political opposition, and control over public life rather than through the consent of the governed. And that's basically what Esau is doing with his New World Order system, all right? He's trying to become a world dictator, all right, through his CHIP and his digital banking system and all those different things, okay, where it says a form of government in which absolute power is concentrated in the hands of a single leader or a small group. Now, you know, these top Edomites are not a single leader. It's a small group. That's the 1%, with few or no constitutional limitations. And they're basically trying to bring it to where you have no, you know, constitutional rights and things of that nature. You know, you're not even able to speak up because they'll come and they're gonna see you. All right. They may turn, you know, off that person's chip, or if they don't have it, then whatever. I don't know. You get the point though, about completely controlling the people. Key characteristics: concentration of power, a single individual, a dictator, or a small group such as a military junta or single political party holds all political power. Absence of checks and balances. This is how you have the whole government set up now, through checks and balances. So one, area of government doesn't have more power than another one, right? It'll get checked by another area of government, and everything balances out. Okay, versus what you had like in ancient Rome, where some of these Caesars would just be, dictators. They would just be rulers for a long period of time, and no one had any say so over them. They were the central control of power, and that's what they're trying to bring it back to, the ancient Roman style. Okay, that some of those leaders had back then, where it's just them with complete power and control, and you're not able to do anything about it. And if you do speak out about it, we're able to punish you, and no one else can do anything about it, nor you. Which at some point they're probably going to try to just start putting people to death, all right? Put them under the guillotine. Draconian measures, limited civil liberties, fundamental freedoms such as free speech, a free press, and freedom of religion are often severely restricted or denied. And ultimately they want everybody to worship them. Control of information. The state typically controls the media and uses mass propaganda to shape public perception. Well, they already hit on that because they already own the television stations and the media networks and things of that nature. Promote a cult of personality around the leader and suppress dissenting voices. Basically, those speaking out about the system or what's going on, maybe even speaking truth, which that'll speak towards more than anyone the prophets, man. Ruled by force and fear. Dictatorships maintain stability through coercion, intimidation, surveillance, and violence against opponents. Opposition parties are often banned. Manipulated elections. Elections may be held to create a facade of legitimacy, but they are generally not free or competitive, and outcomes are often manipulated. Types of dictatorships. Personalist dictatorships, military dictatorships, one-party dictatorships, and totalitarian regimes. Let me see what these say. One party. A single political party dominates the government in all levels of society, and other parties are often outlawed or have no real influence. Totalitarian regimes. An extreme form of dictatorship where the state attempts to control every aspect of public and private life, including the economy, education, and the personal beliefs of its citizens. Example given: Nazi Germany, the Soviet Union, or under Stalin. All right, so getting back over here to this. Because he was talking about so-called eating as a healthy citizen. And she was saying that it's not a part of affecting the credit score yet, but it could become a part. And that's true, okay? Because guiding, not maintaining, but controlling what you eat and what you don't eat. Or if you're eating too much of something, even though it's something that they say, okay, this is good for you to eat, but you may be eating too much of it, all right? Or this is good for you to eat, but you're not eating enough of it. Okay, so do this, do that. Okay, so this is all that whole system of control and them treating people as cattle.
In a healthy body.
Facial recognition again.
Are you paying or checking how you look?
Les deux. Both.
Well, that's handy.
Yeah.
What did you buy?
Something healthy.
What?
Tea.
So how did she purchase?
In a healthy body.
Maybe she paid online. Maybe she checked this out, whatever. But look, there's a QR code on the window.
Checking how you look.
Les deux. Both.
Well, that's
So
handy.
they're everywhere.
Yeah.
What did you buy?
Something healthy.
What?
Tea.
Tea. Imagine if that affected your points.
Then I'd earn more because I only drink tea.
Do you think you can earn points by drinking tea and lose them by drinking alcohol? I mean, if you had a beer instead?
I think that might happen one day. If you have a burger and chips, maybe they won't take away any points, but it could be noted. You're in.
See? Maybe they won't take away points, but it could be noted. And then you're eating too many burgers and chips, they're going to tell you that, hey, cut that out, slow down a little bit. But if you keep doing it, it may start affecting your credit score, dropping your points, taking your points away a little bit by a little bit. All right, until you go and grab, some tea or something like that. That they say, oh, this is healthy for you, it's good. You need some more of this. All right, so they're controlling everything about you. All right, and she said that, I believe it was in the first session though. She said all this stuff, it gives you the feeling of like being treated like a little child. Okay.
Bad shape, so you should drink some.
But more so is more like cattle. But that's just her word, though.
Ever had something totally messed up happen in a rideshare and thought, guess there's nothing I can do? I used to feel the same.
What do you want?
Salad. Some veggies. If your credit depended on what you ate, it'd be a good thing. It would make you eat more healthily.
But sometimes you need to treat yourself. You can't live on that alone.
Basically saying that's good, but every now and then I might want a bowl of ice cream or something. All right, so.
If you only eat that every day, if that's all you eat day after day, it's the life of a prisoner, like being in prison. They bring you your tray, and you have no choice.
And see, she's able to say that now because the credit score is not affecting, food items, things that she purchased. But if the credit score was, affecting what they ate, she wouldn't have said that. All right, and we know that because there's been almost like 3 examples of that earlier, between this session and the first one. All right, so she made sure she said the right thing. All right, that wasn't against the system. All right.
If you don't eat it, then you starve. We're human beings, after all.
Lulu hasn't totally given in to letting her existence, her desires and aspirations be conditioned by these strictures. However, while not quite everything is affected yet, social credit is seeping into people's minds like a new software in the brain. Where are we going?
The bookshop.
Xi Jinping's book?
First, second, and third.
The Thoughts of Xi Jinping?
Yes.
How many points would buying the 3 tomes of the Chinese president's political vision, or a recent hagiography of him, add to my wife's social credit?
That's Mao.
Buying an anthology of Mao's poems, or an authorized biography of Deng Xiaoping? It's the political section right at the entrance.
Marx.
Would buying them help Lulu reach the holy grail of the 950 points of the model citizen? Just think you could get some points by buying Xi Jinping's book.
No, I'm already good enough.
And you don't read forbidden books?
I don't know what books are forbidden.
You're very good.
No, I'm not. I'm just normal.
Yeah, see, he said that because, like we just mentioned, all right, multiple times he tried to get her to do something against the whole little system there. All right, so you're very good. All right, basically you just you're A-class citizen or whatever the case may be. She's like, no, I'm just normal. Okay. She's
a modern society entirely regulated by norms. Your points, your social credit. But there are some Chinese who reject the idea of their private life being out in the open. We have an appointment in the northern suburbs of Beijing. Deng Yufeng is a militant artist. His fight is to protect personal data, denouncing big data's grip on private lives. I don't know what his social credit is like, but his stance must have given him a bad score, maybe even put him in the red. These yellow leaflets were his latest piece of performance art.
So what are these leaflets all about?
My immortal life. They represent all my secrets as a human being. But the secrets are made public and printed on this document. It's a sort of curriculum vitae. The CV has some basic information, even my password for the bank, for my WeChat account, and other things like that. And then some even more private details, secrets.
So he's basically purposefully putting his own personal information out there. I guess as a kind of reflection of a stance on saying this is what the system is like. Well, we have no private life. We have no, I guess the same, privacy, right? No social private life or whatever the case may be. All right, you get my point.
On the 18th of March 2021, Deng Yufeng went out with 3 volunteers and a bunch of Western journalists. They handed out to passers-by his immortality leaflets in the streets of Beijing's 798 neighborhood, where several artists' studios are located. In China, denouncing the assault on the private domain by the digital grim reaper of the tech giants is a risky business. Deng Yufeng's yellow leaflets got him taken straight to the police station. And no doubt did yet further damage to his social credit.
There were security agents or something like that watching me. They must have called the police. I was locked up for 24 hours.
The artist was already getting himself noticed in October 2020. He did an experiment to show the people of Beijing what it takes to escape surveillance. He worked out a route for walking down a certain street while not being captured by a single camera. He spent 2 months measuring the street, photographing it from every angle, and checking its 90 cameras, not only their positions, but also their fields of vision.
Sure.
Drink her blood. She's a virgin.
Quinn squeezed his arms tighter around Aaron's waist.
Look how long the street is. The cameras can pick you up everywhere. Who did all this? It's the work of a real engineer.
On the day itself, he and a group of volunteers walked slowly in single file up the street, crouching with heads bowed. They stepped off the pavement, crept along walls, hid behind advertisement hoardings. In all, they took 2 hours to cover little more than a kilometer.
This speaks to me about the way the state governs. It's all about the way the state has decided to act. And I chose a powerful way to address this. I wanted people to remember. Because in this country, the people, including you and me, have no understanding of the law. We don't know what our rights are.
See, in a world where she were established, this dude was against the system, he wouldn't be able to do all that. He'd be too hungry. He'd be, out of a business or whatever the case may be. Either that or he'd take the C-hip and end up turning it off.
We're not aware of the legal aspects of confidentiality. So these are effective means of raising people's awareness and maybe getting some results.
But Deng's battle seems to be lost in advance. Beijing controls the tech giants, and its right to inspect and use their data has never been challenged. Alibaba, Tencent, and Baidu are the party's pets. Behemoths without which the Chinese government could never have set up such a surveillance system. But in China, what the state demands, the state gets. And there's no one to check up on the party. Back to my wife and her social credit. How does she imagine the world 20 years from now? Here we are, leaving our Beijing apartment one morning, watched as always by the surveillance cameras. By the way, that one wasn't there last night.
Seeing all the cameras made me think about this one game. It's called Watch Dogs. I think the dude would go around, you know, I forget exactly what the whole point of the game was about. But basically he would actually hack, you know, different cameras to do stuff, you know, surveil certain areas and all these different things, right? So, yeah, made me think about that.
This is the last stage of the journey I began with Lulu a year ago. What is my Chinese wife's opinion of this society?
So
which promises
they basically been recording for a whole year, supposedly. I guess that's what he just said anyways. And this video was like, what, 4 weeks ago? A month ago?
A life of staying in credit. A life for which she is an ideal customer.
Can we totally control all this new technology and use it for good? Are we strong enough to control all this software and new technology? I don't know. It makes you think. Everything you do, everything you say, first of all you think, is that allowed or not? What will it do to my points?
See?
Will they take some away? Will they punish me in some way? So we're all putting ourselves in a box. They're eating away at our brains. You could say it's turning us into robots. The children being born today will be adults in 20 years. What will they be like? They'll be half robots inside, but they'll still look like human beings.
So what I suggest, Lulu, is that we do this again in 20 years. And see if it's turned out the way you think it will. I hope not.
Will you still be able to hold the camera?
But history already seems to have been written. To live in this new type of society, my wife won't have long to wait. Beijing has its finger on the button, ready to launch its social credit and harmonious society program into orbit. Lulu won't be looking away from the score on her mobile phone anytime soon.
Yeah, and that's pretty much in that little documentary there. It's a pretty good little documentary. This basically husband and wife team, where the husband was a journalist, and so he was basically recording her daily life, right? As she went about, pretty much following what a day of her life is like under the social credit scoring system, and everything's based off of just that alone, the social credit score system. And then you have a bunch of sub levels like the pay apps, the QR codes, the mass surveillance, all right, and watching what you do in society to a certain extent, watching what you say, as it just talked about at the end, and things of that nature. Not so far as watching what you eat, but they're going to try to control that eventually, all right? Speaking about Babylon now, You know, because they said you're gonna own nothing, and you'll be happy. You eat the bugs and be happy and stuff like that. So you know what China has as a social credit score system, they want to bring to Babylon and just sort of amplify that. All right, bring along the CHIP, amplify that system, bring along, you know, also because surveillance was a part of it, cameras and stuff like that, you know, Palantir, all these different systems, precognition. Like this is them pretty much trying to sit in the seat of the Most High and play God. All right, like they've been wanting to do, and it's all through their witchcraft, their sorcery, their magic, and of course their AI technology. All right. But yeah, and it says that knowledge shall increase in these days. Scripture speak about how Esau accomplishes a diligent search and all these different things. Because in his inward, let me end with that one, inward scripture there. It says in his inward thoughts that his house shall continue forever. If I can get it, okay. All right, Psalms 49:11. All right, it says for he seeth, Psalms 49:10, for he seeth that wise men die, likewise the fool and the brutish person perish, and leave their wealth to others. And they've been doing that for a long time now, leaving the rest of their substance to their babes. Said in a couple of chapters, leave Job 21, Psalm 73, similar. It says similar things to that. Okay, well, yeah, you know, they spend their days in wealth. That goes back to they're pretty much part of their blessing, man. They will have the fatness of the earth and the dew from heaven above, and they shall live by the sword. Okay, but their time was almost up. But before that time was up, you know, the Lord's going to allow them to usher in that whole system. It says their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations, because they know that they're going to be slaves in the kingdom. The bankers, anyways. All right, they know what the end game is for their people, the Edomites. All right, which really all the nations, but just speaking on Esau. Okay, they know the end game is for them to have to serve 1,000 years of captivity and then, you know, be exterminated. Okay, so they think that through their sorcery and magic and, you know, all their planning and, you know, things, you know, their vain things they imagine. People imagine a vain thing, all right, that they're going to somehow defeat Yahweh Shah and just turn a blind eye to the Heavenly Father Yahweh and establish their new world order and just live on forever, you know, after the missiles, and, you know, continue forwarding their whole, you know, agenda in their society. So in their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names, which they've done, right? Stealing lands, rape, robbing, pillaging, changing names. All right, you got this mine, Washington mine, Lincoln Memorial. All right, these things are named after them. Street names are named after them. Companies, you know, all kinds of, you know, everything's after Esau, right? Countries are named after them. Africa, okay, America. And their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Nevertheless, man being in honor abideth not. He is like the beasts that perish. Because ultimately, the Lord. Let's get that. That's the last scripture. We'll get that. And I know that's talking about China. We just kind of transitioned to talking about Esau, because he's the main culprit here. Job 14 and 5. Seeing that his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. All right, so, you know, the Lord says that his hands will not be able to perform his enterprise. He's going to have a certain extension of his reach, but that's all according to prophecy. All right, but ultimately the Lord is going to stop him in his tracks and take him out of power. And, you know, all this social credit scoring system, UBI, I already mentioned that. All these different things that they're putting into a little, you know, one little ball to present, you know, in the earth. All right, it's going to be disrupted, because the end game is for the Lord to deliver up the remnant of the nation of Israel, destroy Babylon the Great, take all these nations out of power, especially Esau, Edom, and establish the kingdom of heaven, and most importantly, exalt his holy name, Yahweh Shalom Shah. So that's the end of the AI chat there. So Lord willing, you will edify. Till next time, I'm going to say Shalom.